Have you seen this viral content of influencers in Bali getting cracked down on by the immigration authorities? We're going to find out why that whole influencer digital nomad lifestyle is a dream that they're selling you that may not be real. And we've spoken to an Indonesian influencer who says that the crackdown is not going to work.
And we're going to be talking about the mystery of Ellie Ellis's virality. She blew up on TikTok and loads of people are asking, why has that happened? In some ways, her content is aspirational, right? She posts normal get ready with me's and now she has millions of views. But what really is behind that virality?
Over the past couple of weeks, a lot of people have been seeing on their algorithms and watching lots of videos of influencers in Bali who are reporting that the government is cracking down on them and sending them home. But before that, you will have seen these Bali influencers, digital nomads on your feed constantly. They always have seemed to be there. It's this kind of aspirational lifestyle that's associated with matcha raves, silent disco
Your favorite
runs.
kind of raves.
Yeah, exactly. Going to restaurants shirtless in like what is essentially a highly religious area. Working out of co-working villas.
I live in this house with 20 people in Bali. Let's see how they make money while they're traveling.
Welcome to a day in my life living in Bali. I wake up so hungry, the first thing I did was have breakfast, which was raw steak with olive oil, and then I went outside to get natural sunlight and moisturize with Radiance face oil.
First on the to-do list was obviously the gym. This is what I like about having your own freedom. You can train when you want and work when you want.
I'm not a coffee drinker, but I always make an exception for their fairy latte, which has coffee, rose water, raw honey, collagen, and sea salt. I got it with their homemade pumpkin seed milk and then got the Venus plate, which was so tasty.
If you're into fitness, if you're into business, if you're into growth, if you're into any of that level-minded energy, then I'm trying to build a team out here in Bali.
Yeah, I've seen loads of these videos popping up, basically being like, everyone has a serious problem with the influencers in Bali. Sometimes they're just talking about the fact that they are working there, but do they actually have a visa, a permit to be working there, which we can get into. And then I've seen quite a lot of conversation about like, is this equivalent to colonialism? Like people arriving in a place and essentially kind of taking over and not being respectful of or even inclusive of some of the local people, right?
The audacity of these people from colonizer countries coming to our countries and then say, our money builds your country. Excuse me? You think because you spend $5 on an avocado toast at a cafe that's not even locally owned in Bali, you're helping building our economy?
One thing that I'm noticing is that a specific demographic is obsessed with Bali, with moving to Bali. And that's basically because they wield an economic power here that they can use to realize the dreams that they couldn't back home, to be a version of themselves that they can't be at home, but also downloading cultural relevancy by appropriating the spirituality, the way of life, the culture.
Yeah, so a lot of this centered around a viral story of a run club. It was basically a group called Entourage Bali. And they were organizing these 5:30 a.m. silent disco run clubs for people who refer to themselves as digital nomads or travel influencers. Essentially, these are people who are mainly from Western countries who've come to Bali to live this dream of like, I can just spend a couple hours on my laptop on the beach and live this amazing lifestyle. But when it came out that the organizers of this silent disco run appeared to be restricting it for locals, because some people with local like Indonesian numbers tried to join the run club and were rejected. The two Dutchmen who organized it were banned by immigration authorities. And this led to a kind of wider awareness within Indonesian society of like, wait, why have we let all of these influencers come here, affect our local economy, price us out of housing, and essentially not pay tax for what is basically working without a visa? That arguably led to a crackdown on foreign influencers and a task force which exists specifically to crack down on kind of people who've overstayed their immigration visas or who are working illegally, has now been targeting kind of co-working villas and influencer hotspots in Bali. And over 300 foreigners have been sent home this year already because of it.
Does this feel part of this wider trend where people are not loving influencers? And that's not just people in Bali, right? It's also kind of all over the world, this sort of hostility to the way that influencers operate. Obviously, there are quite a lot of people for whom being an influencer will be a part-time or even their full-time job, right? Like they're getting sponsorship, they can make money from the social media platforms themselves, they can deliberately promote or direct people to certain products. I feel like my feed is increasingly dominated by people who are very critical of influencers. And actually a lot of the videos I've seen about Bali haven't been coming from people who are from Bali or live in Bali. It's actually been from influencers here in the UK or in the States taking aim at the people who have gone to Bali.
Exactly. So this is part of a kind of global backlash, it seems, against what used to be called digital nomads, now are kind of increasingly just influencers. Locals are pushing back on them. It even extends to places like Mexico City, which is one of the biggest kind of digital nomad hotspots for North Americans to go to. The government is more in a position in Mexico of trying to attract these people, but locals are again, frustrated that they're being priced out. And also in places like Barcelona, where there's this huge movement against kind of tourists taking over the city, digital nomads taking over the city, influencers taking over the city. It's led to people, protesting Airbnb, firing squirt guns at foreigners. Even like there was one incident where people kind of spread dog feces all over Airbnbs. So there is this kind of global backlash. And I think one of the reasons that people don't like this content, right? We've all seen like a silent run club in Bali and be like, oh, this is so cringe and so annoying, is because this kind of escaping the 9-to-5 pitch that is the basis of a lot of what these people do. It kind of reads as class blind, right? Because the idea is like, oh, if you just figure out this life hack, you can just spend a couple hours on a beach on a laptop. But it requires, capital, a passport, visa privilege. It's not something that's available to local people.
I mean, it seems like the places themselves have distinct attitudes towards influencers. And we've chatted about Dubai before, and they seem to love influencers. They sort of want them there. But then we're talking about Bali, say, that don't seem to want them so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of countries court influencers and digital nomads. There's been digital nomad visa programs. Dubai courts influencers. Lisbon and Brazil court digital nomads with these specific visas. Even Indonesia had one initially. But what they're saying now is people are overstaying that visa and essentially working untaxed illegally. This is a country of 4 million residents, and they've had 7 million visitors a year now. There's been, I think, over 130% rise in people who refer to themselves as digital nomads. And essentially, the lifestyle they're selling, it has this history, right? It started in 2007 with this book, which coined the phrase digital nomad. And it was by Tim Ferriss. And arguably, this set off the whole ecosystem of like bro-centered podcasts that teach you if you kind of hack your life, you can get by with working very little, living in a beautiful villa.
Yeah, getting all the perks, essentially.
Yeah, and getting all the perks. And that was the 4-hour work week, that book. People were like, wow, this guy's working 4 hours, traveling the world, living this amazing lifestyle. I can do that too. Now, in reality, he was doing that by outsourcing a lot of his work to virtual assistants in third world countries, which is a lot of what these digital nomads are doing. He also eventually had to sell nutritional supplements, like every podcaster in the world, to make money, because that's kind of one of the few ways you can make money living this lifestyle. What do people end up doing? They end up selling courses on how to be an influencer, how to be a digital nomad. So there are courses in Bali where they cost like £3,000 a month, and they promise you, influencer, crash courses and stuff where you live in a villa with a supposed like influencer guru, and they teach you how to become an influencer, and you'll be earning £30,000.
Even though often the gurus
Instagram.
themselves are not even actually that viral, right?
Exactly.
It's like that's the reason why you're having the course in the first place, because you're not making enough money from your own social media content often.
And look, some people do make it and they end up living this dream lifestyle, but it's hard. But like the vast majority of people don't. And so what you end up having is this kind of like matcha flavored Russian doll of nothingness, where it's like influencers selling courses to influencers on how to become influencers, selling courses to influencers, courses on how to become influencers, and so forth and so forth. And no one's actually doing any real work, basically. And that is where matcha raves come from. Because what is a matcha rave but just like an empty, vacuous chance for like cross-pollination between a matcha shop, an influencer, and another influencer and a DJ to all like promote
It's
each
like
other's
so
Instagram.
social media coded.
Yeah,
and is anyone
exactly.
having a good time? Probably not.
I just finished my first class in Indonesia. Everyone say hi. Hi! We're off to our matcha rave.
I mean,
but it comes back to that thing we chatted about when we did one of our top comment episodes, where we were talking about influencers and observations about how they interact with one another and the slightly sort of abnormal, disingenuous lives they live, which feels so at odds with what is supposed to make an influencer good at being an influencer, which is they are very genuine, they are very authentic, they seem like the average person. It's like the lifestyles these people are leading are so different to the average person's life. They become almost unrelatable and like quite almost like dehumanized, right? They don't really seem like human beings. It's sort of like little robots.
So the dream is the dream that they're all selling, both these people selling influencer courses, digital nomad courses, Tim Ferriss, all these people are selling is you create a revenue stream from your lifestyle here, you work little and you kind of live this amazing life. But really it only works because you are coming to a country where you are coming with capital, maybe you've had a job, like a real job. The economic situation is that you are pricing locals out because these globally marketed co-working villas that now dominate Bali are much more expensive than like local accommodation, right? According to locals, they're often not paying locals well when they are employed or not at all. And this money isn't really helping the local economy because it's going back to businesses abroad. One of the reasons that this content is so successful is because algorithmically, like contempt content often outperforms admiration content. So when we look at these influencers and these digital nomads in Bali, and we see them kind of fail in like the Run Club saga, for example, there's a little bit of schadenfreude. And also it's because the matcha raves, the runs, all that stuff, it speaks to this kind of curated self, which feels disingenuous, right? And when the illusion is shattered a little bit and you realize these people aren't living a paradise on the beach, really they're going there, signing up to an influencer course, not making any money and having to go back home and get another job.
It's actually, when you talk about it like this, quite sad. Like it
Yes.
feels quite like lonely. And you often notice this, I mean, aside from Bali really, but when I'm looking at influencers' content, I saw a video recently where an influencer was essentially saying, my days are incredibly, this was someone in the UK, but they were like, my days are incredibly lonely because I don't really see anyone. I post on social media to a bunch of followers. And so the highlights of my day are like talking to the person in the coffee shop or talking to people at the gym because actually my life is otherwise quite empty because it's filled by this like sort of dopamine chasing social media content and no like real world interaction that provides that fulfillment.
Exactly. And also, like so many things on social media, in many ways similar to your Suda story, although much less dark, much less tragic, it's an illusion, a mirage being sold to people where it's a bunch of like attractive young people living in a villa, like bouncing ideas off of each other. But really, like, what are these people actually doing? Do you ever wonder, like, how are they making money? Well, it turns out a lot of them actually aren't, and they're struggling. And there's a lot of overlap, by the way, between this world and the male grievance industry and the manosphere, in that a lot of these villas are advertised specifically to like men, where it's like lock in. If you
Improve
move
your
to a
life.
villa and lock in
Yeah.
with your boys, and you do like, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu every morning.
And everyone's
spend
your
the rest of time on
cameraman
your
filming
laptop.
you.
Yeah, but all you
But
guys
they're
are
all
doing
filming
is
each
filming each
other.
other doing nothing. You're filming each other working out and like doing nothing. It's a whole big pile of nothing. Look at this post from Kelly Wick RX. She says, today so far, I FaceTime my bestie, meditated, journaled, FaceTime my mama, watched 2 podcasts, filmed a TikTok, FaceTime my babes, ordered lunch off Deliveroo. Will probably work for 1 to 2 hours now and then head back to the mall to buy an outfit I tried on yesterday and I regret not getting.
So essentially she could actually just be at home with these people chatting to them.
Yeah,
like she's not
exactly.
doing anything that is unique to the place she's in.
It's also, the thing I take from that is like, how are
lonely.
you supporting yourself as
Yeah,
well? You're
yeah,
working
true.
for 1 to 2 hours a day and like what are you actually doing?
And what do we know about, so you mentioned before about this task force and the authorities, Indonesian authorities and how they've been responding. What do we know about how the people in Bali are reacting to these kinds of influences?
So for many people in Indonesia, especially with this whole Run Club story, it hit a nerve because it kind of crystallizing this feeling that parts of Bali are becoming other countries, which reflects kind of what the government said, a state within a state, where they're economically inaccessible to locals because they're being priced out by all these nomad villas. They're not respecting the local culture. I've actually been speaking to an Indonesian content creator called Alita. She's not from Bali, but she's from Jakarta, but she has lived in Bali. And she even told one anecdote of seeing like someone doing an OnlyFans shoot inside a sacred cave.
I was shooting a content with my friend and flying the drone like to shoot kind of like a hidden beach. And this cave is a very sacred cave. So it says on the outside of the cave, it says like, do not come in. This is only for prayer and for ceremonies and stuff like that, basically. When we got home to edit all of our content, we noticed that there was actually 2 tourists inside the cave, and this particular girl was inside the cave like completely topless. And I don't know who was filming that. That was like her boyfriend or maybe her manager. I don't know. It was a guy. And when I saw that, I was like, this is absolutely disgusting. It's very disrespectful because you can tell that obviously that's a sacred place to pray in.
She noted, and a lot of locals and the government have said the same thing frequently, which is that they're not opposed to tourism in Indonesia. And actually, Indonesia has kind of welcomed tourism and it's been very good for the economy. But she is herself an influencer and feels kind of excluded from her own economy by these Western immigrants who are doing the same thing.
Yeah, so first of all, Indonesians love tourists. We get super excited whenever there's somebody from abroad that wants to learn the culture and the language. We absolutely get excited. But at the moment, we tend to feel like we're the foreigners in our own country. And personally, like from my own experience, I've witnessed where I spoke to a lot of locals in Bali where the whole entire family are being forced to move out into the village because they want to create luxurious, new villas. I've had experiences where tourists are being prioritized a lot by business owners in terms of the salaries and everything. I have a degree, I've got experience, I speak fluent English, but because I'm Indonesian, they pay me less, and where I was more qualified than my colleagues.
And isn't the issue here that, if these were influencers that were posting about what it's like to visit Bali, what it's like to enjoy the local culture, enjoy the local cuisine, go to, really beautiful places and to show that, I think that would be welcomed or appreciated more so than people posting a kind of strange hybrid lifestyle that is actually nothing to do with the local culture and all to do with how you can make this aspirational, like you say, this kind of mirage aspirational content that's like, here's how you can live somewhere where the weather's really nice and it doesn't really matter where it is and you don't really need to do any work. And it's that doesn't really matter where it is. It's not good from a tourism point of view because okay, sure, you might show a beach that looks nice or you might show that the weather's great or your apartment's great, but that could be literally anywhere. And that almost seems to be the problem because then if you're the authorities in these different countries or the tourist board or whatever, you're thinking, well, this isn't actually that helpful to us because what you're advertising is a lifestyle rather than a location. Yeah, and it the lens of social media has kind of eroded this culture to it's just a beach, right? Whereas, I've never been to Bali, I've never been to Indonesia, but I'm willing to bet that their culture wasn't like silent disco runs, matcha raves, and paddle clubs. I'm sure there's lots of other I'll have you know that in 1000 BC, yeah, exactly, there was a paddle club in Bali. It's difficult to figure out how much of this story is just hype on social media, right? Because like we said, contempt content does really well. So it feels, if you go on social media, like there's a huge crackdown on foreign influencers and digital nomads in Bali, that their social media is being rifled through by the government, many they're having their visas cancelled, etc. And that's what the content is saying. But according to Alita, she's skeptical this crackdown will actually work. It does seem that there are still a lot of digital nomads and influencers in Bali. And I think as this kind of global backlash around this lifestyle continues, we don't know whether this is the end of the influencer or whether it's just going to keep going and get bigger and bigger. So to stick on this topic of influencers, there is this 16-year-old girl who has gone uber viral in the space of about a week, who everyone on my TikTok feed is talking about. Her name is Ellie Ellis. She gained something like more than 700,000 followers in the space of a week, which is wild. But also some of her videos, her first video now has more than 16 million views. And her videos are what you would consider sort of influencer core content, right? Get ready with me, doing my makeup, going through a drive-through and ordering a coffee that people have been wanting to try that's really viral. And her content perhaps stands out because she seems very genuine. So when she filmed her very first Get Ready With Me, there's this bit where she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is my Get Ready With Me channel. Hope you guys all enjoy it.
Hello. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Hello. This is going to be my Get Ready With Me account, I guess. I don't know what I'm doing on here, but I need to get more confidence and I need to stop being shy. So, yeah, get ready with me, I guess. To be fair, I'm not expecting anyone to see this because I have 6 followers. 6 followers.
There is something about her way of delivering what she's saying that is quite gripping and you want to watch all the way through. But lots of people are very surprised at how like obscenely viral she has gone. It's way beyond even some of the most viral accounts on TikTok when they blew up during COVID, during the pandemic, when everyone was starting to use TikTok. It's quicker than like Charli D'Amelio. It's quicker than even like people like Alex Earl, and everyone's a bit like, whoa.
Anyone else find this Ellie Ellis thing absolutely crazy? How has she got nearly 500,000 followers in like 6 days? Nearly all of her videos, I think actually all of them, are above 1 million views. And like, it's just happened out of nowhere.
I've just woken up to Ellie Ellis, right? Girl, how the hell? Like, slay, fair play to you. But like, oh my God, as if it's that easy.
Everyone is saying that Ellie Ellis has blown up across our FYP pages because of her sweet, innocent vulnerability and personality. I hate to be the one that does this, but I'm going to stand on the opposite side of the fence.
Guys, I think we need to stop trying to overanalyze why Ellie Ellis blew up, and we all just need to accept that she just got lucky. Like, that was it.
Ellie Ellis is going to become the next Charli D'Amelio, and she didn't even have to dance. Oh my gosh. I can't lie, I've been locked into the video still.
So it was especially that first Get Ready With Me video that she did, where there's nothing too special about it. Like, you know,
it's really, really normal.
It's really normal. That has made people go, what's going on here? Is she a plant? Is there a conspiracy? Like, why has she got so famous so quickly? What do you think?
Well, she is like your average teenager in her bedroom, doing her Get Ready With Me, talking about her life. And we know that this kind of content performs well. Mm-hmm. It's the kind of content that people tend to watch through. And if we think about how the algorithms, the recommendation systems work, and what we know from insiders at the companies, like, this kind of content is very safe when it comes to the algorithms. Mm-hmm. It tends to be quite popular. It's pretty good when it comes to advertising products. And so I think part of that could explain why it's performed well. But obviously there are loads of British teenagers doing Get Ready With Me's in their bedrooms that go a bit viral, but nothing like this. There's been quite a lot of hate. Like, there's a lot of influencers, often teenagers, often teenage girls who are the same age, being like, why is my stuff not going viral? Like, I think I'm like as interesting as this girl, if not more interesting. And obviously we're talking about a 16-year-old here, so that can't be a particularly easy experience to endure. I'm also kind of enjoying the take that she's fallen off now, because what she's been... Yeah, because she was on like millions and millions, and now it's like...
60 million, now she's only getting like 600,000,
yeah,
1 million. And
so
people are already
low.
starting to say like, I mean, what made her kind of appeal to people initially was she did seem like just a normal girl doing a Get Ready With Me, and then being genuinely shocked and scared of doing it, and then genuinely shocked when it got so big. Now she kind of seems famous. People are a bit like,
Well, also that won't last, right? It's like, even when I was watching a video of her opening her first PR package, then she was unboxing this makeup, and she was like very shocked by it. She sort of jokingly like falls on her side. It's like, that only works once. You can't do that every time you open a package, right? Because everyone will be like, that's disingenuous. Whereas it's the being genuine thing that seems to have worked. There's a lot of discussion about her profile itself, because it has in the caption that the account is run by her parents. And so that led to a load of speculation about whether, like, what does that mean, right? Like, is it that she's just not seeing the views and the likes and the comments? Is it that her parents have encouraged her to set up the account? Is it that she's paying for her videos to be boosted? Like, we know on TikTok you can pay for your content to perform better on the algorithm, and it doesn't necessarily have to be labeled. It's not the same as like a paid for advert. So it could be the case in theory that, you know, 1 or 2 of those videos they did pay to have it boosted. And there are some creators who are now pointing out, well, hang on a sec, the fact she's gone so uber mega viral means she can't have paid for all of those views or likes or followers. She can't have paid for it to have been boosted as much as, like, you know, getting 16 million views, because that would be incredibly expensive to boost your video to that extent, which points to the fact that it could obviously still be like a hybrid thing. Even if, for example, her account had paid, you know, her parents had paid for her profile to be boosted initially, because people then saw it and liked it, it then performed really well with the algorithms, and then now everyone's talking about her. Obviously her content is performing really well.
It's creating a compound effect. Now people are talking about, how did this person become so famous? So they're looking at so quickly, so they're looking her up, and that's making her more famous.
Yeah, and so actually it's all just like a constant feedback loop. And then there's influencers who are trying to themselves boost their influence and reach and views by talking about her, because everyone's talking about her.
There is often with these hyper viral stories a kind of meta humor or meta story around the virality itself. It's like a meta virality. For example, people like the Hawk Tour girl, right? Like it was kind of funny, but then what was funny was how famous she became. And then it became funny that she has a podcast.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta give him that Hawk Tour and spit on that thing. You get me?
We know that the different metrics that the recommendation systems use to decide whether to boost a video are things like retention.
Mm-hmm.
So if people it's got a really grippy hook at the start, and then people are watching all the way through, and then other people are, sending it to their friends or are then talking about this girl like, oh, she seems to be going really viral, and then they're watching it all the way through, right? Because like I watched all the content all the way through because I wanted to know why is she going so viral, and then you end up with the content actually going more viral because we're all going and watching it.
See, that is potentially one of the reasons, right? Because one of the main metrics that TikTok analyzes is viewer retention. If they watch the whole video all the way through, TikTok's algorithm is like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, and that's so unusual, right? Like most people
That's why you get all those annoying videos on social media of like, it looks like something's about to happen. Like last night I watched something for like 5 minutes, which was a guy, it looked like he was about to shoot a slingshot at a bird, and he never did. But then I realized like I've just been duped.
An insight into your home life.
I know, exactly. It's like, because I was waiting for that moment, but that means that that's why that video hit me, because everyone's watching, waiting for that moment, which never comes. So that could be why, because people are like, why is this woman viral? And then
they continue, and
keep watching and nothing happens.
And also there's something about it in a kind of, in quite a funny way, like the fact that she is like almost like normal maxing. I know we've spoken quite a lot about maxing, but it's like, it's so hyper normal. Like it's in your bed.
Oh my God, it's normcore, isn't it?
It's like so normcore that it's like, there are people who are like, is she AI? Because it's so like, she's like 16-year-old doing normal 16-year-old things. She's chatty, she's doing things that we can kind of all relate to. Like she's proper norm maxing. And in a weird way, it's like it's the antidote to the other forms of maxing we're seeing. Like when you talk about the Bali influencers, and it feels like they're presenting this kind of idealistic lifestyle. Like she's doing the opposite. She's not actually presenting, initially she wasn't presenting a kind of American dream, influencer dream, but now she kind of is, because you're seeing, and I was having a bit of a dig into this yesterday, there are loads of teenage girls who are a similar age, even younger, like 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, posting now their own Get Ready With Me's, like almost entirely copying her intro, like, can't believe I'm doing this, but not using her audio. They're just copying what she's done, because this idea that you could sit in your bedroom and then suddenly like she's being sent makeup packages. There are people commenting being like, oh my God, you're going to go to Coachella.
Yeah, that's what you've hit on is the most interesting thing about this, I think, which is like with other things that go viral, like there's a reason why they go viral. It's funny, it's shocking, whatever. With her, it points to the great mystery of virality. And the truth is, no one really knows. Even TikTok knows why things like this go viral. I mean, we can analyze it, right? We can talk about how virality works, right? So the rapid tiered testing that a video will go through, a video will be shown to a small batch. If it performs better than average than the other videos in that batch, it will then get shown to 1,000 people, then 100,000, then 1 million. And that kind of rapid tier testing, each bigger group is a gate that it has to pass. This video appears to have passed all of those gates. What there isn't a gate for on TikTok is follower count. So that's why someone like her with no followers can become famous overnight, because the video becomes famous overnight. It passes through.
It's like an interest-based algorithm.
But none of that explains why she, sitting in a room being like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, Get Ready With Me, has got 60 million views in a week. And this is the great mystery about virality, right? Like people are pointing things like, do we know what doesn't become viral? Can we ask questions like, would she have become viral if she was ugly, if she wasn't white? Like these are questions people are asking, right? Yeah. So it's a mystery though, and no one really knows. And that's one of the interesting things about social media.
One thing I think is really interesting here, and I actually think it really connects back to the Bali influencer selling a lifestyle type thing. In that case, you've got influencers who they themselves benefit from selling that lifestyle, whether it's because they're actually living it, whether it's because people are hate watching, whatever it is. Here, the ultimate winner really is TikTok, because there are loads of teenagers, British or otherwise, in their bedrooms posting loads more content. That's great. You can sell more adverts. That's how the platforms make their money. And it's great for them when something randomly goes viral like this, because TikTok itself is almost selling a dream, right? It's like you could win the TikTok lottery. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe it'll be next week. And that's not to say that TikTok are consciously doing that. Like there's no evidence to suggest that they have just one day gone and searched up Ellie Ellis and gone like, great, let's just boost this random British teenager. Although we do know they used to have this heat button. There were insiders from the company and some documentation that suggested they could decide to sort of press the heat button and randomly
That is
boost an
such a
influencer.
weird image. So you've got like a bunch of like men in the
Yeah, just
TikTok
like,
boardroom like,
press it.
I like that, get ready with me, press the heat button.
Yeah, and so there was a suggestion when, you know, that bit of the pandemic when people like Charli D'Amelio or some of the other influencers who went really viral in the content creation houses, it was alluded to that maybe TikTok had somehow artificially boosted their content. But recently, because of the way things go viral and how it works, it doesn't seem like that's a function that's being used. But this sort of feels like that.
Yeah, look, it's not totally unheard of, right? Like, I mean, if you think of the M to the B girl.
If you don't know me, I'm M to the B. Coming in hard, you better watch it, Sophie. You think you're the only girl doing grime. M to the B, say step in line.
That video got 300 million views. I know she had done some videos before, but nothing anywhere close to that. She just sung along to that M to the B drum and bass song and 300 million views, right? So stuff like this does happen. The question is, does it say more about these algorithms or does it say more about our own psychology? And I think we often talk about different types of content that go viral. There's inauthentic aspirational content, which I think is like, you know, the Bali influencers, for example. There is authentic banality, right? Which is why Andy Burnham does so well, because it's like, look at me eating some Twiglets. Initially, I thought this was authentic banality because it's like someone just giving you a real slice of like a girl next door in her bedroom kind of vibe, and that's why people like it. But the more you're talking about it, I'm starting to think this is kind of aspirational content, right?
Yeah.
Because she lives this perfect life in a perfect bedroom, and now she's rich and famous, or could become rich and is famous through just like doing videos of her getting ready in her bedroom. And that is what people want. That's aspirational.
And actually, most of the teenagers copying what she does will not go viral like that.
No.
They might get like 100
none
views,
of
200
almost
views.
none of them will.
No, almost none of them
Yeah.
will. But it feels like buying a lottery ticket. It's like, maybe it could be me this
It's
time.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's, and you know, there are other examples in the past as well. Like there was this YouTuber, Janelle Eliana, and she went uber viral in 2 weeks. She'd only posted 2 videos on YouTube and she had something like 1 million subscribers. And everyone at the time was like, is she a plant? Is this part of some kind of, again, like, is this YouTube's way of encouraging people to post content because this could be you? And her content was very aesthetic, like it was camper van, travel, you know, it's the kind of stuff that actually performs really well on YouTube and across social media. And remember, this is back in 2019. So this is sort of pre-influencer era that we're talking about. Like this is when it was first, influencerism was first becoming a thing. Or influencerdom, or whatever you want to call it. And so there are examples. This isn't entirely unprecedented. But there's something about it that just in and of itself doesn't feel, it's like unbelievable. And I think it really taps into a growing disbelief we have in what's happening on our own social media feeds. And you actually see that around the Bali influencers. You see it around someone like Ellie Ellis. People are like, these big, very rich companies that are entirely not transparent with us. I've got some questions for you. Why did that happen? How did that happen? Why are you not telling me what's going on? And you wonder at what point there might be a total kind of rebellion against the influencer, right? Like for now, you've still got people who themselves believe the dream that maybe they too could go viral. But as this increasingly happens and people find that the majority of them do not go viral, do people actually turn off from it and are like, this is bullshit?
This makes me think quite deep things about like how our society today, the primary aspirational kind of like metric is fame. And that's happened over time, right? I mean, we first saw this discussion with musicians, right? A lot of the kind of older rock stars and producers have often complained that like musical virtuosity and talent has become replaced with star quality, right? And you see this in like American Idol, Britain's Got Talent and all that kind of stuff, but also the notion of, is this person good looking? Do they have the ability to go famous and viral? And a lot of people would say that modern pop stars have that more than they have kind of talent and virtuosity. In this case, it's not even that. It's just the fame itself, fame for fame's sake. It's like she's viral because she's viral. And I think that just shows that we've become obsessed with fame for fame's sake on its own. Like we want to follow someone because they're famous. And the getting to that point of being famous is a journey we want to follow and are interested in.
But also there's the influencer sell-by date, right? Like take, for example, Alex Earle, who went super viral doing like, you know, I'm going out to this bar in Jersey, wearing a tiny top. Love a tiny top, no judgment on that. But like does all these get ready with me, felt really authentic, and then has become a bit of a superstar, had a podcast, is now got a documentary, like docu-series following her family that's coming out. And it's really interesting seeing the backlash against that in the comments, because it's almost like, oh, you were this authentic, relatable person and now you're actually like so super famous that you're not really authentic or relatable anymore. Like you're on Dancing with the Stars. And when they bring those influencers into the kind of traditional media world, it turns people off them because they're like, oh, well, you're not what I thought you were. And so actually there's a very short period of time where an influencer can be genuinely normal or authentic before then the money and the brand deals and everything else come in. So like someone like Ellie Ellis, if her whole thing is being normal and authentic, then like how does it work when, you know, she's at Coachella in a year? Because that's not a normal, authentic thing that most British teenagers get to do, right?
So have you spoken to her?
So I messaged the contact details on the account, and I specifically asked Ellie Ellis and the team, whether that's her parents or whoever that is. And she does have an email that's like a management email as well. I asked why she'd gone so viral so quickly, if she was willing to answer some questions about it. And I also said that there's a lot of speculation about why she has suddenly kind of got, you know, boomed overnight. I think it's quite interesting. So they didn't reply to me. They haven't got back to me. I think it's quite interesting that she hasn't herself addressed any of this. So where she's posting, she hasn't said, oh, by the way, guys, I kind of also don't know why I've gone so viral. She just hasn't addressed it at all. She's just continuing to post almost like no one's talking about her, which could be explained by the fact that maybe she's not seeing the speculation about her if her parents are running the account, although you would imagine that she is herself scrolling. But it almost feels like she's just like, and I think that's why people keep being like, is this AI? Because you're like, she's not really reacting in a human normal way, which is good because I wouldn't like her to see some of the speculation about her. Some of it's quite offensive.
Yeah.
But it's just quite unusual that she's not posted, and maybe she will, about what's going on here and why, which is, I think, further fueling a lot of the speculation.